everyone's like, oh my God, AI is going to replace me. AI is going to replace me. No, it's not going to replace you. Like if you just use your brain and figure out how you can use AI in a better way than the other person, like you will win.
You need to push the boundaries and fail sometimes to go past, and then you can pull it back. Someone always has to rank first on Google. There's always like a first page is generally they're doing something right and you're not anymore. So it's like they're still winning.
I'll share something that I haven't really shared with anyone outside of the team.
Welcome to another episode of SEO Wisdom Podcast. How are you doing, guys? So we have James Oliver.
Thanks for having me back. Great to be here.
Yeah, and we have Benjamin Golden.
Hello. Thank you.
I still can't pronounce your last name, so that's why I like to say it Golden.
Strusnik. There you
Benjamin Strusnik. So yeah, it was funny. Like I was just contemplating about life, and I knew you guys were here, and I was going through some of my podcast numbers. And two of the biggest podcasts, like on the second and third, was Benjamin. You got like 4,000 views, and you had 3,000 views. So a combined total of 7,000 views. And every conference I was going to meet up, they were like, I watched the James Oliver one and I watched the Benjamin one. So I was like, why not bring the boys together and do like a SEO roundtable?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. That's a good idea. It's going to be an exciting podcast.
Yeah. So guys, like it's been 2 years or 1 year since we chatted last time. A lot has changed. The AI revolution. Have you seen this new AI agents everybody's talking about on X?
Yeah, I've been doing that loads. It's basically just using AI and just getting the processes down rather than manually doing it. It saves so much time. I built one mainly for writing content. So pulls in the SERPs using X.AI. It's really cheap to use, and it pulls all the content from like the top 5 pages or 10 results or whatever you want. And then I can pull all the products from those pages, all the like semantic keywords, LSIs, all the unique phrases, and then plug that into Claude to write really optimized content.
That's amazing. And what about you?
Just a quick question there. When you say an AI agent, just because this term is being thrown around all the time, an AI agent is essentially when you connect multiple like prompts or automations in AI together using something like a no-code tool, something like this?
To be honest with you, I have no idea what the actual phrase or the actual meaning is. Okay. That's what I think it is as well.
I think they call it like SEO AI agent.
Well, that's just for using it for SEO, but yeah, I think it is just multiple prompts and sequences of like different platforms working together. Okay. So you can just press run or it runs automatically when you do.
Yeah, because there are always all these new terms coming out. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, what does it even mean? Like AI agents, these, that. I'm like, just trying to stay on top of it at this point because it's like evolving so crazy fast. Like, have things coming up left and right, DeepSeek, these, that. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. DeepSeek works quite well with Perplexity AI. It's pretty good, but yeah, there's new things all the time. But AI agents, it basically just saves time for doing it, so you don't have to do a manual process.
Yeah, I mean, like one thing about SEO is always catching the trend, and for us SEOs, whenever we see like a new thing in the market, it's like inbuilt in us. We're like, okay, we need to check this out and how we can, ease out our content processes or link building processes. Like my question for you both would be like, how effectively like you're using AI in your businesses now?
I'll share something that I haven't really shared with anyone outside of the team. So this will be like really, really good. But essentially our main challenge for the past few years has always been links. We spend around 900,000 a year on links. And what I'm seeing these days is like, okay, guest posts, the price is shooting up. It's more and more difficult. Sites are charging more and more, and the quality is just lower overall. And the main thing that I still see working are just good old PBNs. Like for my own sites, everything that I test, like how much you need to spend on a PBN, how much you need to spend on a guest post, like PBNs always win. And then you have the whole thing of like building and maintaining a PBN. What I find the biggest relevancy, the biggest power that the link gives is relevancy. How relevant is it to your site? It's not even how much authority it has or how much traffic. So what we're going to start doing now is using AI to essentially mass launch websites. So for example, let's say you have a weight loss supplement. You can essentially go into a tool, I think it's called 10Web. That's what we were going to be using. You write a prompt I want a website about weight loss supplements, and it will literally build out an entire business website that looks completely legit, custom design, custom logo, custom theme, and like using that with, Perplexity or Claude or something to create all the content, you can have a perfect PBN that looks like a legit site up in like 5 to 10 minutes. That's crazy, like one of the things that we're launching now. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we do something similar as well with mass launch sites, and then we get on the testing protocol for a month to see like which site's toxic and which working well. So I think with the PBN side of things, like there's so much you can automate, and as well, there's so much you need like an in-house team to just run manual tests. And I think this is where I'm a bit lucky, because AI is not going to fucking replace me anytime soon, because PBNs, they need to be fucking manualed by humans. And yeah, like
that's the biggest thing. Like everyone's like, oh my God, AI is going to replace me. AI is going to replace me. No, it's not going to replace you. Like if you just use your brain and figure out how you can use AI in a better way than the other person, like you will win. Like it's just another revolution. It's like there was the internet revolution, there was all these revolutions in the past. Whoever figured out the best way to leverage that came out on top. So it's literally, instead of looking at it like, oh, it's another threat to me and having this scarcity victim mindset, just look at it how you can use to gain the edge, because this is the biggest opportunity, I would say, and not like something that can hurt.
And I agree. And I think in SEOs, like we can be better SEOs. While if you are a consultant in a way, or an architect, like, okay, can fucking replace you, because I've seen AI doing some amazing things with, like interior now you can design. Put a picture and be like, design the interior for me in like 10 different formats. Wow. Like, so I feel like SEOs are still like up with AI, and it goes like, hey, how can I make it work to me? What are your thoughts, James?
Well, with that, like you were saying, it kind of ties in with the AI agents. There still needs to be manual processes, but with AI agents, you can do it custom to you. So you can launch the site, it would run that step, and then it would run checking like in a month's time if it's ranking or not. And then you can approve or de-approve. And so it's just basically, it helps you out with the process. But when there's so many different steps, it's hard for AI to do it, and it takes too much work. That's why you can't really be replaced with it, especially with PBNs, because you've got the hosting and there's so many different connections, but you can help like some of the processes to speed it up and basically reduce the workload of the staff or yourself.
And yeah, I think we're still into the early stages of this AI revolution. We don't know what's coming, but I'm really positive. I don't know about you guys. Like I'm pumped, just how it can make our businesses easy, accounting easy, our lifestyle easy. So I think it's exciting times. Again, what you said, either you're a victim to AI, or either you're like, how can I make it work my way? Which is beautiful. And most people will understand it. Like they'll be like, oh no, AI is coming and it's going to replace me. Like you don't have that mindset. You don't have that entrepreneurial mindset. And there's so much I can talk just covering the entrepreneurial mindset. And I see you both, and I feel like you guys have great entrepreneurship mindset. So I would just like, if you want to share bits and bobs of how you keep this mindset.
That's a very good question. I don't think about that often, but I think it's just something that you're like, that you grow into, that you're raised into, maybe something that you become because you want to. For me, at least, like I always think of like, not just with business, like, but with every area of my life, like health, wealth, relationships, everything is like, what can I do to be the best version, the most optimized version of myself? And I think it's just this, like, I often think and look at entrepreneurship as like this never-ending progression or like self-development, because you always need to push limits. Like you need to push your limits in with your health, with training, with business, like in all these different areas. And it's ultimately just wanting to be the best. And then why do you want to be the best? Well, ultimately, so you can create the best life, not only for yourself, in my opinion, for my future family, for the people around me, for my friends. Like I think it comes from there for me personally.
Yeah, with what you said as well, Ben, with me, I think I kind of grew up with it. My parents was like antique dealers. There was always self-employed. So I used to do that when I was like younger, like when I was a kid for the whole like teenage years and stuff as well. And then just kind of progressed and just kept doing that. But like you say, it's like what is it? Sam, I can't remember his name now. Sam, whatever it is. It's the finite game and infinite game where it's never ending. Life is like the infinite game rather than finite. So you always got to keep improving. And I think SEOs have massive adaptability because you always have to update content, check what's ranking, and it keeps changing all the time. So you're always on the ball, and it kind of progresses that business to other aspects in life. It's kind of just the mindset, which is just ingrained in a lot of SEOs.
And I personally think like either this mindset is in you since you were little or it's not in you. Because I've met so many people now being in the conferences, being, like having a personal brand, a lot of people come to you. And I realized like, not everybody's got that, like entrepreneurship sauce. Like they haven't got those like basics. And I wonder like if everybody can make it, I do get these thoughts. I'm not going to lie. Like, because sometimes I'm like, this person's not going to fucking make it.
It's just about beliefs, man. Like do you believe that you can make it or you don't? And then you have like, it's all about beliefs in your head. Like from your childhood, like what did your parents tell you? So for me, my mom was always like, you can do anything you want. You can be anything you want. Like you can just whatever you want. Like if you just work towards it, you can get it. And I think obviously like your parents and your close friends, like that's huge influence on your beliefs, and that's ultimately gonna dictate your life. And okay, we're in Bali, and I don't want to be super spiritual, but like one of the best things that I did, like when I was like 17, 18, was just go through all my beliefs, and I just really kind of analyzed them, and I found everything that was holding me back. I had this belief about like how money is difficult to make and it doesn't grow on trees, and all of these that I was listening to all my like in childhood and so on, and just rewriting this stuff, like that has had such a huge effect on me. Like, and I would say it just comes back to all of that. Like, what's the story you tell yourself? What's possible? What's impossible? And what do you believe about yourself?
Do you think moving as well helps, like getting out of your old hometown and like childhood area?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Like for me, it's super funny, and I don't think I ever mentioned this online, but when I was like 16 or 17, I dropped out of high school to trade Forex because I found some mentor online and he was flashing his Lambo and everything. I was like, oh wow, I can make money like this. I'll drop out of high school. So I paid this guy to mentor me. He was of course a scam. I lost all my money, but ultimately I got away from a lot of the people in my high school that were holding me back, that had these negative beliefs, that they weren't like in the same mindset. Like they were holding me back, and by essentially removing myself from that environment, like I didn't have anyone around for like 2 years. I was just kind of this lone wolf. I was like, oh, I can do it by myself. It's not really true that you can do it by yourself. You can, but it's just a lot more difficult. But then slowly I started meeting all these people that really actually helped me, that were aligned with my values, with my vision, with my goals. And I think if you cut out the people that are not good for you and for your goals, you essentially are making space in your life for the people that are. It's why I know you. It's why I now met you. So it's how it goes.
Yeah. It's beautiful what you said, and yeah, like money does not grow on trees, but maybe it does, and you just don't know how to find that tree. So I play with that analogy a lot, and I get criticized by my family sometimes. You're spending too much money. Money does not grow on trees, and I'm like, yes, it does. So it's funny how like when you go back to your family, you're like an alien who's doing things so differently, but at the same time coming back to your inner values, your authenticity, and how you want to show up in this world. Because I think this is also like what keeps us motivated, being an entrepreneur, being an SEOpreneur, being a, doing what we do. Like that's why we do it. Like, what are your thoughts, James? Like
business online. Well, yeah, transitions to everything. Like I'm still doing SEO, but now I'm doing more software products as well. So it's just the same mindset and the same transition, basically, just making money online because you reach a wider group of people. It's easy to market to thousands of people when you're ranking on Google first place. It's like perfect.
Yeah. And so what industries are you in now?
Still SEO software.
SEO software,
So
SaaS.
SaaS SEO software. So it's still sticking to what I know and what I'm like kind of good at and have the knowledge base for. Maybe branching out into other avenues because there's a lot more money in, say, social media SaaS rather than SEO. But yeah, just transitioning into software. So same sort of ball game. It's the same skills like transfer along. It's hiring, which is a big one because developers are the main source of it, which is a nightmare to kind of get right. But when you get that right, it kind of flows a lot easier.
And what about you, Benjamin? What avenues are you into these days?
What kind of industries? Well, Shopify. We're all in on Shopify.
I think you the number one Shopify SEO agency in the market.
I always want to actually figure out like if I can say that, because I don't want to make that claim without having like some sort of supportive evidence. But like I don't think there's anyone that spends so much on Shopify SEO ads as we do, or has so many clients, or has. But
you have
with
the data, you know, and you can compare the data to other agencies to somewhat, and you need an insider. Like what I do is in my PBN business, I know I'm the number one guy because I talk to all the PBN people. So I know what kind of numbers they're doing, how many links they're making. So it just brings me out, okay, I'm the number one in the market. So I think data talks.
Yeah. Honestly, like I haven't even had one conversation with another like agency owner that just does like Shopify SEO. It's always e-commerce SEO, and then it's like you have Magento, you have WordPress. Like we literally just do Shopify. So yeah, anyway, yeah. We do well. Let's leave it with that. We mainly focus on Shopify, have some of my own brands on the side. But other than that, just really perfected the system of optimizing for organic traffic generation. And now recently, just because I had to develop this for my own brands, also converting more traffic into sales, maximizing how much they buy. So increasing average order values, just really, as capitalistic as it sounds, squeezing as much as I can from every single person that lands on the site.
Awesome. And I think I want to touch into this question, like, you know, a lot of people like us, like you made good money with affiliate SEO and parasite SEO. Me personally, from the PBN side of things, him from the Shopify agency. I think our skill also comes from how we use that money. And I've seen like in all of us, like we took $1 million for say, and we invested in real estate, or we bought a business, or we started our own brand. I think this is where you become a better entrepreneur and a better, like your skill gets tested, you know, because to a level that you were operating and you had the SEO skill and you made money, and now to reach the next level of being a full-time entrepreneur. Yeah, my question for you guys, like, how do you do it? How do you turn $1 million from the SEO side of things, from the parasite, from the affiliate side of things, and do a 5x or 10x? You know, like, how do you do it? Like, what's the strategy you guys are using?
Diversification, really. Just putting the money into other businesses, like you mentioned. So real estate as well. So as we spoke about before, building in Bali. So putting it into real estate. It's probably not a good idea to talk about Bali real estate too much for immigration reasons, but
we're going to beep this out,
yeah. But yeah, Bali real estate, and then just investing into other businesses. So before the HCU, I invested into a lot of content businesses. Now I'm not doing that so much because it's a bit more risky. It's more the software side of things, and a brand as well. So an e-commerce brand, which I've not really spoken about yet. It's not fully launched, so we'll leave that as a hidden thing for the next podcast in a year. But diversification is the big one for me.
What about you, Benjamin?
Yeah, pretty similar story actually. Like for me, I started really doing well when I was 2019, 2020. And there's this post I made about 2 years ago. It's just a story.
This is when you were doing daily posts, I remember.
Yeah, I was posting a lot.
It was banging.
I was posting a lot.
I used to learn a lot. I was like, oh, I need to take notes. Benjamin's online again.
Yeah, I was the post that I made was how it was when I moved from Slovenia to Georgia, the country, and in the same month I bought half of a finance lead gen company in Australia, and I also bought an apartment. and I literally maxed out everything I had. I had like $3,000 in my bank account, and I just went all into that. And I was doing that for a while because I had the agency, so it made sense. Like I acquire lead gen sites, content sites, affiliate sites, and just plug them back into the agency. Was much more safe before HCU, because now it's like you need more brand signals. You know, if you just have SEO and nothing else, like you're not really gonna do well. And then after that, I really started doubling down on the agency. That has always been the best investment, like just literally pouring as much money as I can back into the agency, hiring, coaching, everything like that, developing new strategies and so on. And recently, I would say like for the past, 3-4 years, I've always done like 30% stocks. I've had crypto for a long time. So that was like 40%, 40-50%, and the rest in real estate. And what I noticed like in the last year, just analyzing the performance, like stocks, I honestly do not know why I have been investing in stocks, because the returns are like 5 to 10%, which is pretty much just matching inflation. It's like doesn't really make sense. So what I have decided to do a few months ago, I literally started slowly selling all the stocks, just set my targets, just left completely the stock market, and I'm going purely 50% crypto, 50% real estate. On the real estate side, I'm trying to maximize with loans. So I'm trying to get as many loans as I can, fixed 20, 30 years, low interest rate if I can lock it in, of course. And I'm mainly doing that in Cyprus because it's a very, very good market to do it. Tons of demand. On the crypto side, literally just Bitcoin. So dollar cost averaging based on where we are, if we're in the accumulation phase or, sell-off phase. So I adjust based off of that.
That's smart. Like I invested in crypto like years ago. I even had like 4 miners in Vietnam mining Bitcoin and doing all that. But I was stupid. I kept investing in all the different coins and all the different stuff. But if I just put it all in Bitcoin, it would just less stress on the mind.
I just sound smart. I did all of that also. Like I lost so much money on like these different coins, these different memes and so on. Luckily, just because I bought when I was like 12 years old, so like 2012, I still did well, but I lost, I would say, like 70% of Bitcoin in the process.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's lesson
part of the
learned.
game.
It's lesson learned. Yeah.
And funny, like, yeah, I think this is beautiful what you just said, Benjamin, because I was doing some estimates on my kind of where I made money, and I think today, like, I'll make more in my investments than in SEO, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I've been that PBN guy, and I was just like, just having a side hobby like of real estate, of buying gold, of buying a bit of stocks, crypto, mutual deposits, and I was like, fuck, like you can actually make a lot of money like in side hustles, and that's why I think 3 of us in the panel in this table are talking, because I think we all have got this skill, and that's why I really respect about you because we all reflect that kind of like mentality. And not walking into a room of bunch of SEOs and everybody's talking about like the next strategy. Like when I have conversations with you guys, it's always about like catching this trend in the crypto, or catching this
thinking
trend
in the bigger picture.
Yeah, thinking in the bigger picture, because we are identified as like the online SEOs and affiliate marketers, but I think ultimately we are just purely business people, like we capitalists. And I think that's where our power comes from. Like I was in a retreat and I realized like the masculine in us gets our power from the capitalist aspect, while in a female it's different. It's not from the capitalist, it's like her needs being met and stuff. So it's kind of interesting how we wired as men, I'd say.
I mean, it's just because making a lot of money gives you power, and as men we always want power. And it's been through like this pretty much since
dawn of
forever.
age.
Yeah.
When you said with riding the trends as well, even with SEO and like affiliate sites or picking the niche, if you're in a niche which is going up, it's always getting more search volume. It's just so much easier than just doing something about sewing or something like that. It just makes life a lot easier, and you make more money even if you're doing the same process. And even if you're really, really good, if you're in a better vertical, it can 10x what you're doing.
Yeah. And coming to the next topic, I want to ask, because you're really into like starting brands, investing in brands, and you're really into SaaS. you know. And I've thought about personally getting into both. And now I'm getting more into like the SaaS perspective than a e-com perspective of all the downsides and chargebacks and, you know, like government shutting down the shipping goes up, whatever, you know, the reasons might be. So I want to see if we can have a meeting point why I should go SaaS and why I should go e-com brand. Like,
well, both have pros and cons with everything. For me, I've always been, I wouldn't say lazy, but generally that style. I basically like laid back, just lifestyle, make the money and make good money, but not having to be on the ball answering emails and loads of staff. With software businesses, it's generally a lot similar to the affiliate side of things, in my opinion. You still have to hire like developers to run the SaaS, but then it's just down to marketing, setting up your emails and doing your content and the similar sort of stuff what you do with SEO. There's a ton of SEO agencies just dedicated to SaaS. So it's very laid back, but there's still a lot of money in it, especially for the sale value. So it's not necessarily your MRR or ARR. It's the valuation of when you sell the business. It's a lot higher than a content business or an agency per se. So you get a lot more money on the exit when you want to leave.
an e-com?
I think it just really depends on the type of person you are. I don't really have any objections to SaaS. In fact, I would say it's a not an easier business to build, but it's a business that makes more sense to be built, because you're just going to get a much better exit. Like e-com, you're going to need to put in crazy amounts of work. It can be replicated like this. You can make it work and you can crush it. But I believe that, you know, if you have the skills to do a SaaS business, you should just do SaaS business. But you really need to be sure that you have the skills for it. If you don't have the skills with either businesses, I think e-com is going to be probably easier to start, but it's not going to have the payoff that SaaS will. That's just comparing both sides and kind of comparing a SaaS business I have with the brands that I have. I just know that on the SaaS side, it's just a bit easier and a bit better to exit out of if you have the skills, and most importantly, like we talked before, if you have the talent. Because I think with SaaS, it's the biggest challenge is going to be finding good talent to actually build this thing for you.
Yeah, it is a nightmare. Like I've gone through so many developers, and then like there's so many errors and bugs. It's not good. But with e-com as well, like you can scale that if you get the right product and the right ad. You can make so much money very, very quickly. With SaaS as well, it takes a little bit more time, even if you are running ads in comparison, I would say.
I think what both business types have in common is this thing where you need to put a ton of work up front, and once something works, you've made it. Like that's literally how it feels from the outside looking into a lot of these businesses, because you're waiting for so many factors to kind of come together, like the market fit, the marketing strategy, the ideal avatar, like all of that needs to come together for it to work and take off. In SaaS, and same with e-com, right? You need the right angle with the right target market and the right product and everything like that. Comparing that to other businesses like agency or, you know, more service-based businesses, you literally just need customer and you've made money. Like it's much easier to run, but that's why you will never be able to sell for the same multiple as, you know, a SaaS business, for example.
Interesting. So what you talked about,
he's now more confused than ever.
He's still not decided which one.
Yeah.
He's going to do both.
Because if you think about it, like there's just so many options, right? Once you get that leverage, you can try this part or you can try this part, and it might both work, you know. So I'm in that position where just like there's so many parts. Do you guys feel that sometimes?
Oh yeah, so much stuff.
There's so many parts. Infinite possibility.
Yeah.
I saw an ad today, and it was for Bali raincoats, you know, because it's just been raining. It's just for a raincoat on Instagram. And they're selling for like over 1 million IDR. And I was like, I looked on Alibaba and they're like 20K like IDR to buy. And I was like, I could just buy a load and get them over here. Well, no, I don't know what it's running on, but it was just an Instagram ad selling to buy. And I think it was through I have no idea actually, but it was through a website actually, probably Shopify. But it was just ridiculous. Like even in a country like Bali, that you can make a lot of money through e-com. It doesn't really matter what location. There's always like a little avenue. You just got to find the
and also like makes sense if you think about it. Like China is close by, so drop shipping those products here, like it might be more efficient. So selling it like 10x, with all the shipping, import tax and that, you still kind of make your percentages.
Yeah, who knows what they're doing? Maybe they have like 30-minute guaranteed delivery or something. It's raining all the time.
No, they do. It says 30-minute guaranteed delivery.
I would pay 1 million if I need it urgently, and like I didn't have any other option. Like that makes sense.
Yeah, they probably just run ads when it's raining and just fucking spend it a fortune.
Yeah. 2025, paid ads versus SEO.
I don't think it's a comparison. I think it's using both. Yeah, like we briefly mentioned before. Like, I think, like for the past year, I think I mentioned to you, like when I was last here a year ago, like I just got all into paid, not really just for my own brands, but to essentially share all the organic content that I had from my agency and to essentially improve client acquisition. And I just got completely obsessed with funnels, paid media, like copywriting, all of that. And I would say that mastering paid media and paid ads, like it's one of the top skills like any business owner can have, because you're literally just, when you need more leads, when you need more clients, just increase the ad spend. Like that's how it goes. And today, I think SEO works better than ever for businesses that have their other marketing channels dialed in. Like before HCU, so like what, 3-4 years ago now at this point, I think, you could literally just have a website, no marketing channels. You could just optimize the SEO, build some links, and you'd rank. Now that doesn't really work anymore, from my experience. Might work for a little bit of time, but then it's just a matter of time before it crashes. But if you have email marketing, paid marketing, SMS, if you have all your other channels dialed in, then you bring on SEO, your return on ad spend and your CAC, so customer acquisition cost, can be reduced dramatically when you add in SEO. And I think that's the biggest value of SEO nowadays that no one really talks about. Everyone's still like, okay, I'm making this and this much from SEO, but what kind of impact is SEO having on other areas of your business? How is it affecting your return on ad spend, your cost of acquisition, like all these factors? And I think that's what really should be the focus of SEOs in 2025.
Yeah, for business owners, it just saves a ton of money for just reducing the ad spend, I can imagine. Never mind everything else, which you get from ranking. And like you say, it is mainly like brand signals and user signals now. And you can just get that a lot more with ads. Like I know a guy who runs, I won't say the business, but he's an Australian e-commerce company and he runs TV ads, and that has a massive impact on his brand, like SEO wise, because everyone Googles his brand name and the actual product. So it helps just rank. He ranked really easy.
I think you can now create AI agents just to create brand signals.
Well, you can.
You have to connect the API with the prompt, and with the API, what it'll do is it'll get you a new location. And then you can get a click from Melbourne, then you can get a click from Sydney, and the prompt's just running with the API, and it's just...
Yeah, the CTR manipulation with proxies, it does work, and it is really good, but it's hard to get the right proxy to think Google, like to automate to see it's a real person. That's like the hard part. But there's a few decent softwares out there. We're actually trying now for Valentine's Day. It's going to be running this week. Basically, I'm working with a brand in the adult industry, and because it's Valentine's Day, we're doing a piece of content for Parasite SEO, which is on a Google News approved website, and it's going to be about Valentine's Day and then promoting their product. And what you can do now is do CTR manipulation on a Google approved website, and it has to be done correctly. But you do that as soon as it's published, the minute it's published, and within the first 24 hours, you can guarantee getting at the top of Google News for the full 24 hours. And then afterwards it varies. But that's really easy to do. And CTR manipulation is like huge for that business model, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. What techniques are you using for brand signals and that these days?
Paid traffic. Like it's pretty much all brands that come to us, they already have a ton of paid. Like they may rely on
demographic. Like if there's a brand in Australia, then only Australian traffic, or you mix it up with other countries as well.
What do you mean exactly?
It's just like paid traffic, Australian brand, Australian subs, or Australian, audience.
I mean, if they're mainly serving Australia, they're already going to be targeting Australia with paid, right? So it's like we don't really need any brand signals from other countries, because if they have the intention to ship and market to a specific country, they'll be targeting that country with ads. So they already have all the brand signals coming in. That's why I like with kind of the market we operate in, right? You don't need to artificially create like you would need maybe with affiliate sites or things like that to create brand signals and demand and prove to Google that you actually have other traffic sources, because you already do, because the brand is already established, you know.
And the reason I ask you that question is because I know some people who go to Vietnam who'll pay like 1/20th of a click, and they'll get the same brand signals but a different geographic location. But I think it works as well. So it's interesting to just test varied kind of approaches with paid. Yeah, but how do you diversify paid with SEO? Like, what's your take? Like, when you see a brand and you're like, okay, we're going 70% SEO, 30% paid, or we're going 90% paid, 10% SEO, we're going all SEO or all paid. How do you?
I don't think there's a rule like how much you need to spend on paid and how much you need to spend SEO, as long as you're getting great ROI on both, right? So just like you would with paid, if you have a ROAS that you're happy with, you will just scale that, right? And with SEO, obviously, you can get a direct. You won't be able to see directly how much you're making back off that monthly investment, but if you look at it over like 6 or 12-month period, you can just go into analytics. You can remove the branded revenue, branded terms, and you can see just how your non-branded organic revenue has increased. So if you spent, let's say, 70K on SEO, but you made, I don't know, 350K back, that's a very good ROI. So like that's 5x, right? So in case there's opportunity to go bigger, in case you have more terms to dominate, in case you have other competitors to outrank, you can just scale the spend on links or on content to launch more pages. But what you'll notice is typically with SEO, you're going to be pretty limited in terms of how much you can actually scale. Like the market's only so big because you target the terms. With paid, you don't really need that demand. You can create that demand, right? If you have a great top of funnel ad, someone maybe they didn't even want this product, but you created the demand. So that's why paid ads you can scale just so much more and it's so much bigger. But of course, that doesn't mean that SEO should be ignored.
Yeah, for sure. What are your thoughts, James?
The grass is always greener on the other side. Like, I've been going to Affiliate World for the past couple of years, and everyone does ads there. No one really does
spoke
SEO.
in one of the conferences.
Yeah,
right?
the one in Bangkok, just gone in December.
Did you tell them do a lot of SEO?
Well, that
do a lot
was
of PBNs?
It was about parasite SEO, so
Okay.
it was that. And PBNs was mentioned because they're the most powerful link. So why wouldn't you use it on an asset what's not yours, which you're not going to burn? It's like you might as well. But yeah, I always get jealous of ad guys because, like you say, you can track the revenue. You put this much in, you're going to get this much out, and you can see it and you can scale it so much easier. It's something I want to do. Like, I do branded terms, and then I do ads for like statistic posts because it's very cheap and you get the links from that way. But I don't do it that much anymore.
What kind of posts?
So statistics are like
okay.
the data-driven facts about barley or whatever it is, and then you run ads on that because like barley statistics are really cheap on Google Ads because no one's bidding on that. But journalists are Googling that for links for like data sources. So it's really good for basically getting links, doing it that way.
Interesting.
Cheap ads.
What's the average link cost and like average DR? If you happen to know.
It's generally big. I don't know. I can't think of what the average is. Generally very cheap and generally big sites because it's newspapers which are generally looking for this. Sometimes like bloggers and just normal sites, but generally it's the journalists looking for whatever article in the news.
Okay.
So it works out really well.
Good.
Test it out and then we'll see how it works next year for you.
Good.
But that's good. Other than that, I don't really run too much ads. I want to get into it. Like, I know so many people, which are basically same as Parasite SEO. It's more the advertorial, trying to promote the products. They're just doing that on their own websites and just running ads to it and making money that way. So something I want to do, but something I've not really developed too much. It's always just been SEO, laid back too much.
What do you guys think about, like, let's say an editorial journalist goes to AI and it's like, okay, I'm writing this thesis, give me references, and the referenced backlink, how it's going to operate on DR level or on traffic level, how it's going to see the authority of which reference link should be put in this, article.
As in citing sources?
Yeah.
I think it's just going to use something, I don't know how it works right now, but probably something similar to like EEAT signals, like who has the most credibility, trust. I don't know how they're going to measure that though.
Because it's going to change a lot of things, like, because journalists, they won't have time to, like do full posts, and they're going to be like, okay, I want all the references. make it no follow.
Yeah, I don't mind no follow links. So I still think it does pass value.
Yeah,
like it does. But obviously you want do follow, but
Yeah.
it's still good. Any link from big sites is good.
And back in the days, I think that's one thing that's changed is in SEO is like 10 years ago, all you wanted was do follow.
Yeah.
Now you want some no follow just to make it
look more legit.
More legit, yeah. So I think that's one thing that's changed a lot. Like people stress on do follow links a lot, but they don't stress enough on no follow links, which can also like give them that traffic boner.
100%. I think also one very interesting thing that not many really talk about right now is doing SEO for literally like AI chatbots, like so ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. Because like what I find myself doing now is like I would maybe a year ago I would open up Google. I would be like, what's the best restaurant? What's this that? Like I would use Google to actually find places to go to for like basic questions. I'm literally just on ChatGPT all the time. So like how I think that's gonna kind of open a new market for like SEO agencies or SEO services for ChatGPT, especially as more people start using it and realize that okay, wow, I can get a lot more information a lot faster and all of that. Haven't really, I don't know if you guys saw, but I haven't really seen many talk about this market.
With that, parasite SEO is key for that. Well, because you want basically as many sources saying the same thing, and that's what AI just pulls it in. So even social media, generally the free ones are sometimes better. So YouTube videos like this would get pulled into Perplexity and other LLMs, like LinkedIn, Medium, even like Instagram and stuff like that. It all gets pulled in. So as many different sources saying the same thing, basically gets into the AI easier. With that as well, we're actually building part of that into Answer Socrates. So we're going to build a LLM tracker so that you can put your brand in and then you can see if ChatGPT or Perplexity like are mentioning it for certain terms. So we're building that as a thing because no one's done it yet. So we're quite excited for that.
Nice.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. So yeah, it should be good with all the different models and tracking. It should be interesting to see because you kind of want to know if you're getting referenced by ChatGPT or any other terms.
For sure, you're gonna get traffic anyway. Plus, I think ChatGPT sends the UTM, so you ChatGPT UTM back to analytics, so you can actually see how much traffic you're getting. Yeah,
it's going up a lot. It's not so much on my sites to be honest with you, but on a lot of other people's sites, ChatGPT's sending a lot of traffic to people now.
Did you see this post today? Fresh up on X, and apparently Elon Musk led investors tried to buy ChatGPT OpenAI for $89 billion, and Sam Altman goes on X and he's like, "I'll buy Twitter for $9 billion. Sorry, thanks." And Elon Musk is like, "Swindler." I like the drama that goes on like X with all the tech tycoons. Like it gives you a lot of perspective. Like also like where things are shifting, what's the market domination, what big, tycoons like Elon Musk and stuff, what they're interested in, and also like seeing how Google's more and more being dominant every year, even with the ChatGPT revolution. I think this is the last year was the most money they ever made. So it's interesting, like people think like ChatGPT is going to replace Google, but Google's still in the market doing those numbers. And
maybe it made more money though, but it did for the first time ever lose a percentage to Bing, I think it was. They actually went down in the overall search term. They probably made more money, but the actual search percentage is less than what
the reason why they made money is just because they're like, there's 3 organic search results and 25 ads on the first page of Google. So I think look, even as an SEO, it kind of hurts me to say this, but I think Google is gonna really need to get their shit together if they want to keep being the leader. Because I think right now they're just clearly, obviously losing to OpenAI. ChatGPT is just gonna slowly start to eat in their market share. And the only reason why they just made more money is because they're just shoving ads down people's throats, like literally, because that's the only, that's how they make the majority of the money. And okay, like Google and YouTube still have pretty much 50% of all the traffic. But I do think that's gonna start to go down if they don't figure something out with their AI. And I mean, right now it's just a competition between not only different companies, but it's literally a competition between US and China. Like, who's gonna have the best AI model? Because that's pretty much gonna dictate. Like, I think in the past it was mainly like the attention, like so social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Now China obviously leading with TikTok.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna be like, I don't know which one's gonna be the main one in China, because you have DeepSeek, you have this the Alibaba one, and then you have OpenAI in the US. But I think it's gonna be, I mean, they're just
China
fighting for power.
China versus America.
Yeah.
And also like Chinese people, they're beating America in a lot of things, like this new military drones. Did you see that come out? They just like, yeah, they're going to be the new age, like military, like operational, and it's going to change things. It's going to change things a lot. And that makes me also think about probably getting into the Chinese stock market,
Yeah, learning Chinese now would be very beneficial, I think. Well, it's like, to be honest with you, like e-com's dominated. Everything comes from China, all the products. And now if all the software and like AI comes from China as well, it's a complete revolution. It's nuts. But yeah, it's funny, like when you were saying who's going to take over. And it's hard to predict, because like OpenAI, ChatGPT was amazing, and then Claude came out, and it kept balancing between different models when they kept coming out. And now Claude's probably slightly better for content and AI like coding, but it changes all the time. But then as soon as like the DeepSeek came out, like OpenAI, I forgot how much money they lost off the stock, but I think it was over 30% just straight away as soon as it started going up. So it changes dramatically. So it's going to be interesting to see who wins the race, basically.
Yeah, I think Nvidia went down like, I may be completely wrong here, but I think like 17 billion or something.
Really?
Yeah,
like,
in a day or something.
Like in a day.
Why do you think that was?
Because DeepSeek came out. So it's like the whole concept was like DeepSeek was developed on like a very small budget, apparently.
$10 million or something.
Something like ridiculous. And then they compared it to to OpenAI and how much money they need. But it could be that they're just faking it.
Yeah, it probably
because
will
they
be.
do fake a lot of things, and I hope I don't disappear after saying this on the podcast. But like, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, and it's kind of like nuts, like what's happening in the world today. Like so much changing. I was just talking to my parents the other day, and they would have never imagined like we would end up in 2025 with all the shit that's happening and Trump taking over US and all that, and it makes me think like people and the human species, they're really into drama, and people want drama subconsciously, and it's in our nature, and we always want something new and something different and something slightly better. And when I see like you boys, and stuff, like we're not really that surprised, because we've been through the trenches, like from the Google's perspective, like we've been through every update that was possible in the SEO space, from HCU to, like the Panda. You remember the Panda update back in the days, the Panda update and the core update. So I feel like it's kind of like, for me, in my experience, I feel like it's normal in a way. Like the world is changing, and SEO was always changing, and the Google update's coming. And I don't know, like, is it easy for you guys to adapt to the new reality?
Yeah. Yeah, really.
For me, it's like, oh, whatever, like.
Yeah, it's just the normal thing. It's obviously like if stuff goes down, you take a hit and your net worth and maybe your monthly income goes down from the affiliate sites, but it's going to bounce back in a few years, and you're still doing okay for like what it is, and you just transition, and it's just kind of normal. Then you just adapt to the new change and progress with what's working, or turn your affiliate site into an e-com site, because it's doing e-coms a lot better than affiliate at the moment.
Yeah, I would say just kind of like what I said before, every change is going to be a new opportunity to do something better. So like, I mean, you should always be making changes anyway. Like even if you're not forced to make a change, you should always be testing, figuring out like if there's a better way to do things than what you've currently been doing. Because if you're not constantly changing or adjusting or optimizing, I mean, you're just experiencing this slow death in a way. So you don't necessarily, like, I don't think it makes sense to just wait and then adapt and only pivot then. But you should just constantly be asking, whether that's with your team, employees, or actually with anything in life. I just feel like, is this the best way to do it? Is there a better way to do it? Is how I'm doing things right now the best way of going about doing that? Like if you're just constantly analyzing and having this mindset, I think you're just constantly evolving, because change is just evolving essentially, right? You need to be open to it and
Yeah.
you can progress.
And I think being dynamic is just also our nature subconsciously. Like change makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
People are scared of change.
And if I think about it, why is change so uncomfortable? I think, yeah, you tell me. Why is it so uncomfortable?
I don't want to get too philosophical, but I think just like your personality of like your idea of who you are is always going to be attached to a certain routine, to a certain way of living, to your friends, to your circle, whatever it might be. It can be anything really. And I think for entrepreneurs, usually the biggest kind of crisis, identity crisis that they experience is when they sell a company, especially if they've been building a company for a long time, because then you exit and you leave your baby behind that you've been taking care of for I don't know how many years, and it's a big change, right?
Yeah.
Because you attach so much of your identity, of your
It's
even
ego death.
self-worth. It's an ego death.
Yeah.
So your ego you need to go through a complete change,
And it
and I
requires
think
a lot of pain and being uncomfortable.
exactly. But again, it's during these times that you learn the most about yourself, because you realize you're not this thing. You just are. You don't need external stuff to validate your worth of who you are or anything like that.
And that's what I see in the SEO space as well. Like,
Well, everyone's gone through that. Well, most affiliates with a HCU.
Yeah. And all the SEOs, like since the Corona times, 2020, you see this phrase a lot: SEO is dead. And I think about it, why this person is saying like SEO is dead, like while we're still here, 5 years later, this was my original thought. I just came to realization that we want to push a lot of us not changing or adapting to giving excuses to like SEO is dead, or Google's not working anymore, or ChatGPT is going to take out and I'm out, So I think it's the easiest way out for some people. And it's kind of like sad because you make connections and then you lose connections and you're like, I connected with this person so good, but then he said this thing like, SEO is that I'm going into like a fishing business or something, And you're like, what the fuck, bro? Like
100%. And this reminds me of like some conversation. I don't know who I had this conversation with, but it was just about how like all the biggest gains, I think it's Naval that says this, the biggest gains in life just come from compound interest. And if you're just, not even that you have to be in the same industry, but if you're just in the same type of business for a long period of time, and you build obviously connections and skills, and you essentially go through this like compounding growth, because the longer that you are in this business or in using these skills, the better you'll become. And I think whenever I see someone like SEO is dead or this is dead, it's like, no, you just got bored of it, or you don't want to adjust or change or improve. You don't see the skills that you need to improve to become better at it. Because to really, like, can you honestly say that you're the best at it in the world? Probably not. So okay, it's not the problem of this industry is dead, probably just the problem of you either being bored, or maybe you just don't think you're like good enough to develop to the level that you need to develop.
Coming back to the subconscious beliefs, right?
Yeah.
It all comes out.
Someone always has to rank first on Google. There's always like a first page is generally they're doing something right and you're not anymore. So it's like they're still winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think the change that's coming in SEO will be more focused, because the on page is going to be so easier with all the content tools out there. And it's all going to be automated with the AI agents. And I think more people are going to start thinking about off-page and backlinks and parasite side of things, and the brand signals. And I think this is where a lot of the industry's focus is going to go, and it's going to be interesting times. And nobody's going to be talking about optimizing for on-page anymore, because they're going to be like, oh, I have an AI agent, I have an on-page AI optimizer I use, but now for the offsite side of things, I want to do this, and I want to test this, I want to test this. So I personally think this is where we're heading. Like, what are your guys' thoughts?
Well, we talked about the omni-channel presence you was chatting before, Ben. I think that's the key thing But I think the on page will probably change as well. Off page is more important than ever because of this, because it's basically the differentiating factor now, because everyone's going to have optimized good content. It's all going to be optimized, the right entities and stuff. But I think the on page will probably change to information gain. As we already know, you have to have something new. But I think it'll be more social media, of having like the social media posts in there and so many likes and interactions and user signals from that tied in with the content as well. Just basically anything for Google to get away from telling it's not AI. Because, well, Google already pulls in like the amount of followers you've got on like Instagram and YouTube in the SERPs and stuff. So I think stuff like that could possibly be the new direction for Google in the future with content.
I think I just saw on X a few days ago, I don't know who is building it, but someone's building a tool that will essentially scrape Reddit, Reddit, X, Facebook, like all these big social media platforms when it's creating like a post. And so instead of essentially just recycling all this information that like AI already has, it's gonna pull new information from like social media platforms, and then based on that, provide like the most updated, the most relevant version. Maybe it's for product reviews, maybe it's for for informational articles. Essentially, they take people's actual opinions, because that's what's going to make the biggest difference, right? Because things constantly evolve, things constantly change. People always find new stuff that works for anything. It can be any niche. I think we're going to see a lot more of that also.
With that as well, Google bought Reddit, or bought into Reddit, and that's what it trained all its AI data on, the Reddit data. So it's like they know it's the case, and it makes more sense for that. What's the newspaper as well, like
BuzzFeed?
BuzzFeed, yeah, that's all basically Reddit posts, and a lot of news articles was Reddit comments. And now as well, the PR angle a lot of people are using is something goes viral on TikTok or gets a lot of views, you do expert commentary saying the dentist says this TikTok thing's wrong, and that's working really well for PR. So it's like newspapers are pulling that information anyway, so it kind of works, and it is going that way, and you can leverage it like with anything, and just adapt to get the links, or to get you your piece of content in the news to drive traffic to whatever offer, or how you're going to make money basically.
And I think Hormozy talked about this as well, how like the easiest way to really create content if you don't have a bunch of content ideas is to just go through like the top TikToks, Reddit posts, whatever it is, and just react to them. So find like a headline that a lot of people like engaged with, or got triggered by it, or whatever it might be, and just provide your 2 cents. So it can be whatever essentially, but the headline already works, so it got attention. And then if you just react to it, then you can essentially reach a new audience, because it's for sure going to get attention.
Yeah, most of my feed on Instagram, it's not actually the original video anyway. It's someone reacting to it. I never see the original. It's always a reaction video of that video.
Yeah.
It's a paddle tutorials.
Yeah, that's actually okay. I follow quite a few.
Mine Instagram feeds all paddle.
Is it
stuff? It's so funny. Like it just knows like what I like.
The algorithm.
Yeah.
There was an interesting tweet. What was it? Jack? Is it Jack Dorsey who used to own Twitter? I can't remember his last name now, but
Square.
Yeah. So he was saying there should be different algorithms, and you actually pick which one you want, because it's your like content. If you want it like picked on like the most popular things you search, like paddle would turn up, or if you want it on, I don't know, men's fashion or whatever it would be for like what you want to see, you should be able to pick the algorithm. So that could be interesting. What happens with that? I don't think that would ever progress to Google, but potentially with the AI systems coming out, it might do.
Yeah. And talking about Hormozy and all these people, I think he said it like a month ago, and he was like, the most important asset you're going to have is a personal brand. Not your condo, not your crypto portfolio, not your stock market, it's going to be your personal brand. And I really like kind of think about it a lot these days. And I think that's the case. That's going to be like in the next 10 years. And you guys have got good personal brands, I'd say. So what are your guys' strategy to get on the personal brand like game? I'd say game, but also like having those boundaries of maybe not getting too much fame, because it's going to affect your peace or your family life or stuff like that. So what do you guys think about the personal brand, the whole idea about having an influence and stuff?
I think it comes down first to defining your goals, like what do you actually want to achieve. I think the whole like, oh, if I'm gonna be famous, I'm gonna make money. No, you won't. Like it's completely irrelevant. Like the number of followers and likes, there's no correlation between how many likes you have and how many followers to how much money you're gonna make. I think just getting away from that for the start is the best thing you can do. And especially if you don't actually want to be famous, like to just find the area or the niche where you want to be known as the expert. I think if you start with that and literally just start talking to the market. So figure out what the most common questions are, what the problems are, what the frustrations are, figure out like what kind of the awareness is of that market, and then just figure out, like start posting content, see how people react to it, and then you just need to be almost like obsessed with analyzing the performance of that content. You need to pay attention to what people react to, what works, what doesn't work, and then you just need to keep refining it. It's kind of similar to like testing paid ads, right? You test your hooks, you test your body, you test the angle, you test top, middle, and bottom of funnel. But the key should be just, if you want to start, define the niche, define your goal, post for 30 days, post whatever you want to post about that certain topic, and then just go back and analyze what worked and do more of that. That would be like how I would start it in 30 days in a nutshell.
Yeah, they're really good points. With me, I'm kind of a bit of a crossroads of what I want to do. I'm not too worried about getting too famous because, like you say, it's in a like the vertical of SEO or vertical of business. So it's not like, well, SEO marketing, should I say? It's not a huge audience compared to general TikTok videos will blow up and you just get likes, which don't equate to anything. So it's not too bad. But I've actually just been speaking to a strategist, which helps personal brands because even in the past, like a lot of big companies, there was founder-led, like Steve Jobs and stuff like that. And I think now it's a lot easier to capitalize and do that and build the authenticity that you build in this clothing brand, or you're the part of this agency. So people like, know, and trust you. So you're going to help more people and people are going to use you instead of someone else. But with what they were saying and what they kind of go over is having your core pieces of content, which are always going to be the same. So people know what to expect and they want to tune in and watch it like a TV series. Like you with this podcast, it's always like the long form hour. People know you're going to be in the room, like all the professional setup, and they know that and want to watch that each time. So it's kind of finding where you feel comfortable and want to progress in and keep doing it, because it's generally, if you want to keep doing it, you have to enjoy the process. You're not going to keep doing content which you don't like. So for me, it's that, and it's more the authenticity and just actually showing you on there. Because companies don't really sell as much, will build an audience or attract people rather than personal, put the personal side of things. Basically,
people connect with people and not companies. 100%. One thing I would like to add is, like, I think having a personal brand is great, but you shouldn't have a business that's just your personal brand, because then you can never exit. And as an entrepreneur, obviously you want to exit because that's where the real money is. Not even just the money, but if you have a vision and you really want to take it to a super high level, you're only gonna really be able to take it to a certain level, and then it's just gonna make more sense to hand it off to someone that's maybe more capable, more skilled, whatever it might be. So I think that's a very important point to make. And another thing that comes to mind in terms of personal brands is, and I tried this with my organic content, it worked very well. I think building in public is extremely underrated because there's no fluff. You're literally showing what kind of challenges you're dealing with, how you're overcoming them. Typically with content, you always want to have this hero story, but when you're building in public, that's literally the hero story, because you're going to have challenges, you're going to have problems, you're going to find solutions, and that's just exciting to watch. Plus people get to learn from that. And when you accomplish something, you literally just show to everyone how you did that, and then you're the expert. And then people will see, okay, this is a lot more difficult than it looks. So I might just pay you to actually do this for me, because you've already done it before.
That's what Vasco does for a lot of his content. He'll do the whole process and do a full breakdown of like a certain service, and then say, you can do it yourself, I've just shown you it, but if you don't want to do that, you can just pay me to skip all that. And most people, we always want the easy path to things, so it generally helps. People would rather pay than 100%. Actually do the process.
And I think anyone that, especially entrepreneurs, if you value your time and you need something done that you have literally zero clue with, you'd honestly be stupid if you try and figure it out on your own, if you can just pay, and have it done for you, especially if that person has like a proven track record of doing it.
With SEO as well, I think it's even more valuable because there's so many, because it's hard to say like this equated to this like traffic and this actually works, and you've got to wait 6 months and trust me that it's going to work. So you need the brand or the company trust at least to do it, because there is a lot of people which take advantage of that as well.
100,000%. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Vasco, because I really like the way he's building his personal brand. Did you see his POV videos?
Yes, so
he's stretching.
But you know that POV video that was taken from Daniel Dallin.
Yeah.
So he's the one. I've started following him as well and doing.
He's in Bali a lot as well.
Yeah, he's in Bali. Yeah, he's very recently.
So I think, my another question would be like how authentic you want your personal brand to be, because some people, they just go like very niche, and I feel like there's a niche audience, but also there's like a build in public audience, and there's a POV videos like of this Vasco guy we know. Do you know this guy who has journalistai.com? So there's this guy, he came to this podcast, Vasco Montero, really smart guy.
I've seen it. Yeah.
So he is rebranding his whole YouTube channel to I'm a 24-year-old living a apartment live in Bangkok
and stuff.
And people watch that and then they get curious of what he does, and he was showing the numbers and he was like, they do really well. Like,
it's the smart way to do it, because SEO, like we were saying, it's this very small portion, but that it gets a huge market. And then if people want to invest or people want to use the tool or do whatever you're doing, it'll attract the right people because you got the wide net, a bit like ads sort of thing.
Yeah, it just needs to make sense from the funnel perspective, right? I don't know exactly like how he does this content, but like if you have like a top of funnel and then you have a very niche specific type of product, maybe an SEO product on the bottom of funnel, I think the conversion rate is going to be extremely low. So, but if you have like, do you guys know like Samuel Onuha? Like this,
this guy.
So he's blown up like completely, and he has again a super big top of funnel, like parties, events, expensive cars, all these typical like guru stuff. But essentially, he sells like a course, and he also does kind of like building in public and stuff like that. But the whole idea is like, because he has so many people and he reaches so many people, and he has a product which is like e-commerce coaching, it applies to all of them, because any one of them can start an e-commerce company, right? I don't know about Vasco if he has a tool or what he has on the bottom.
Writer.
Yeah,
a bit more niche.
It's a bit more niche. Yeah, it can still work, but the more you have, the more relevance you have between bottom and top of funnel, the better it's gonna do.
That's a good point for sure.
Big business model.
I think in my YouTube channel, the videos that made me a lot of fucking money would be like the ones that have got like 1,000 views. And this is one agency that wanted to spend 150 in a year, and they came from that video. And I was like, I made a video, 1,000 views, caught an eye on the agency, and
that's the point, right? You don't need millions of followers to get huge amounts of money. Like, I mean, if you just imagine, like, when you give a presentation, when you give a speech, right? How many people are in that room? Like, maybe if it's a huge event, maybe like, I don't know, 1,000, let's say. So when you make a video and you get 1,000 views, that's like 1,000 people seeing. Like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And especially if it's niche, like if you're speaking to agency owners, there's 1,000 agency owners. That's a huge market. And you just get one person to convert, which is what, 0.1%. That's a super low conversion rate. And that's one lead just because you have a higher ticket offer. Like, that's a lot, right? So just again, it's not really having massive numbers. It's just having the right offer for the right audience and solving the right problem.
With that as well, it's like the key thing of like trying to sell SEO and why you should do SEO, because you are targeting the exact search term, and it's like their intent to come and check out whatever it is, the product or the offer or the review or whatever it is. And it's much more valuable than a general review not targeting, a general term not targeting the search term kind of thing.
100%. Or like you can also go the other route where you do like, so for example, like what we started doing now is I recorded like a 10-minute video just explaining, it's a very simple case study of how we decrease like cost of acquisition, increase ROAS and so on. It's like a 10-minute video. It's when we're just going to optimize it for top of funnel. So the objective there is not leads, it's not sales, it's nothing. It's just awareness and optimization for video views. So the goal with this video is to push it to hopefully millions of people, and then just take the people who watch 25% or more of the video and then just retarget them. Because if someone watched 2.5 minutes of a 10-minute video of me talking about SEO and super specific thing, they for sure have interest in that. And then I push them to the middle of funnel, which is my organic content, which just builds more credibility and trust. And I just retarget that small portion to the bottom of funnel, to the actual offer, right? So the top of funnel is going to be super cheap because it's just awareness. The middle of funnel is going to be more expensive, but I'm only targeting a certain number of people. Bottom of funnel is going to be the most expensive, but again, I'm targeting a super small percentage of the people that are for sure going to be interested.
That's really interesting.
Not many SEOs do that either.
Yeah.
SEOs are generally scared of ads, and that's the perfect way to do it.
Because I'm thinking now, like all of us, we've got our own technique that fucking works. And for you, it's like what you shared. It just, to the point, perfect recipe. For me, it's like tutorial videos, old school tutorial videos, still gets views, gets people to buy links. And for you, it's like, I see those breakdown of 10 things you need on X, and it gets a lot of views for you, And I don't know how much you're converting on that. Are you converting more on the YouTube tutorials? So
well, it changes all the time, to be honest with you. Like even when I came on this podcast like a year ago, I got so many messages on like Instagram and stuff, like just random things, and Niche Pursuits podcast. But generally, I don't know, this is mainly for like top of funnel personal brand and awareness. Not really trying to sell people on anything, because I don't really have too much of a service. I have a service, but it's only for the small scale people. It's only like a small percentage.
And adding to what you're saying, I think people hardly look at what you have to offer, but people want to invest in people, So if they like the Benjamin Golden, the Saket Wahi, the James Oliver, they want to be like, I don't care about all the case studies there. I want to work with James Oliver because I like this person. And I think this is what's shifting in the personal brand space.
100%.
Like, who are you, bro? Who are you? Like,
it kind of reminds me of what I just told a friend of mine. He's putting like an investors deck together. He's raising money, and he shared it with me for some feedback. And he had all the companies in there, what they achieved, how fast they grew them, and so on. And I'm like, it came to my mind. I'm like, bro, you have the most incredible story, and I won't go into the entire story, but just like think of like such a very epic story of like him building the first business, going completely bankrupt, and then doing it again, and like such a good story. I'm like, man, I think like 70% of that presentation should be about you, about your life, what you've achieved, what you've gone through, and what your plan and vision is for the future, and then a small percentage of like what you actually did so far with the companies, what you got. Because also every single one of your current investors literally bought into you as the person and not necessarily the project. They just believed in you.
And I think the more important than the story of the person is how are you making people feel? Because people are going to remember not the strategy, not your complete story of how you got to where you are. They're going to remember how they felt when they were in the room next to them, when they were watching your video.
Yeah, but you do it with a story, because with a story you demonstrate like your values, your decision making, how you make decisions, and that's what people connect to, and that's what triggers the emotions inside of them, and that's essentially how you
But if you think about it, like nobody really remembers a story. Like you do, but you don't. You remember how you felt,
Yeah, I mean it's a vehicle to getting you you there. Yeah.
Getting to those emotions. So I think like a bit of like hypnotherapy.
Well, with me, I
that could be a niche, like hypnotherapy for personal brand coaches, like how you can apply it to your audience and get more people to, like support you and whatever high ticket offer you have to.
It would probably work, to be fair. When you were saying like failures, that's really big for me, because I want to know that they've tried this before and failed, and they know like the pitfalls to avoid. If someone's winning all the time, they're always doing great. It's like there's obviously they're either covering something up or they've never failed, so
Yeah.
it could just crash off straight away.
Like how many
100%.
people we know in our network that don't have failures? Like I don't personally.
If they're real friends, no, none. And also that's how we connect with people. We don't connect with people, oh wow, he did this most amazing thing. No, I can't really relate to that, because what are the chances of me doing something very, very special in that specific niche? Probably very low.
Yeah.
But them failing a business, or them, it can be whatever, not just business, like them going through a tough breakup, them going on a weightless journey. Like we connect with the struggle. Like that's what really we can resonate with. And that's enough to motivate us to then, to try it for ourselves.
Yeah.
And even going back to the business SEO side of things, you need to fail. You need to like find a website, obviously not a client's website, but have a website and then push it to, maybe it's ranking third or something, but push it to the breaking point. Then maybe sending 20,000 PBN links to this site didn't work, but sending 200 was like the perfect amount, sort of thing. You need to push the boundaries and fail sometimes to go past, and then you can pull it back.
100%, yeah.
And it's interesting, like now we're getting into the dynamics of what we're talking, and it just came into my mind. There's a so-called SEO expert, and he has his full story like written down in his website and his YouTube video. But when you see him in conferences, like he's still trying to be that SEO expert and confident one, and nobody like kind of like basically people are not approaching him as often like they'll approach James Oliver or other people, and I realized like it's just not going to fucking work. Like who you are online and who we're presenting to be like offline, and if it's not relative, and people notice that gap, and people realize it, like there's something going on. I don't want to talk, I'll go here. So I think it's just like being who you are online versus offline is what I've noticed. Also, like it gets a lot of attention, it gets you a lot of good opportunities, business partners, friendships, and like network that you're gonna like strive on. And it comes to who you're online and who you're offline, and people notice that.
Oh yeah, all my business partners came from conferences, SEO conferences, meeting people and doing that. I think it's big. It's just authenticity. It's just being you in every setting, sort of thing. And as building like websites and SEOs and affiliate marketing, we sometimes lie quite a bit for picking the products which are going to earn you more money, or not having your face on the business, just a random AI generated person now. But I think the signals of that, or the signals on those websites anyway, generally help you convert more in that space, and then obviously in life as well for your personal brand.
Yeah. So coming to a 5-year plan, let's say there's a 5-year plan. What are our goals? Could be personal, could be SEO wise, could be business wise, and what's the required actions that's going to take for us to achieve? I'll start with you, James.
Well, we've just done the New Year's just gone, so generally every New Year, just before in between Christmas and New Year, I always plan out the year and try and write everything down and see what I need to achieve, and then have the big goal and then do the steps to work backwards, because it makes it a lot easier to work it out that way. That's generally a year goal. All the projects is planned and everything's in progress. 5 years, I don't really plan that far, but I kind of know off the top of my head what I'm going to do. Generally exit everything what I'm in now.
Retire?
Not retire. I've always done like a year break every now and again.
Yeah.
And I would probably do a year break, just travel, maybe
Go to India in a rickshaw?
Yeah, I've already done that now. But the thing is, like, you still can do like a side hustle. I think I get bored without that. But just take it easy and just do slow travel.
I like to call it like spiritual quests. So it's like you take mini breaks from the business operational side of things, and you go like a month in India and just you're in an auto rickshaw, and you don't fucking care what happens in SEO, what happens in the tech scene, what happens in the main things, and you just do you. And I like that about you. When I met you, you're like, I'm going on India in a rickshaw. You know what a rickshaw is? It's like a 3-wheeler.
Yeah, that was good.
From
fun.
south to north.
Yeah. Fort Kochi to Gangtok to Sikkim. the way up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
I forgot what it was, kilometers, but it was a lot.
So it's interesting what you shared. So you want to exit everything.
Exit everything, but then I want to start something new and build that and then do the same process. And it's just generally the same cycle of doing it. But pretty much everything I'm in now, I want to be out of and in new businesses by then. Still same skill set. I'll probably still be doing SEO. I'll still be doing affiliate marketing, still be doing ads. But generally all the portfolio and companies now to be sold and new projects. So always just new things, basically.
It's beautiful. What are you?
So I have a few things in the works that I can't talk too much about, unfortunately, but I definitely want to prioritize just living a bit more, because I literally started working online when I was 12 years old, and I feel like
How old are you
I'm
now?
25 now, and it goes like this, man. Like it's insane.
Yeah.
I do travel, and I do try to make trips, every 2 months, every 3 months. But I definitely like really respect what you did, for example, with just taking a year off and just like to live like that. Like I really want to do that. I had a break for like what 2 weeks, for like end of December to start of January, just 2 weeks off. And I find that just removing yourself from the day to day and just reflecting on what you actually want, kind of working on the vision, I think is the best investment that one can make. So I definitely want to be a bit more strategic about how I'm building things, and not just always be in the trenches and like spending so much time solving all these problems and optimizing and so on. Take a bit more time to just figure out like what kind of experiences I want to have. Obviously, like we all have a list of places that we want to see, that we want to go, things we want to experience. But I think once you complete this list, then you get another list. So I really just want to spend some time doing that, just living life properly, and after let's say a year of that, just find the next mountain to climb and keep going. Like I think it's not really about money anymore at this point. It's just this process of personal development, because you always need to build different skills, you always need to level up as a person to achieve different goals. And I think that's what really makes the whole entrepreneurship journey like really, really interesting. So can't really give you an exact answer, but that's kind of the mindset behind it.
I know here we all are in a very serious, committed relationships. Do we all want families? Are we on the same page?
100%.
Yeah.
I think that changes everything, right? Because now the family-oriented goals might overtake the selfish, like personal quests. So
I definitely the personal stuff like that would be a lot harder, and I feel like you take less risks as well, unless you have a diversification and the assets already set up. But I think the risk taking would reduce quite a lot, and then the personal quests as well. So it's one of those things where you have to take advantage of it while you can. Live in the now.
Yeah. What's your thoughts when you have a family?
So I want to, and that's kind of the big thing that I was thinking about, like just kind of a timeline for my life a bit, like in the next 5-10 years. Up until I'm 30, I just want to really focus on just living my life. Like for next year, I'm gonna push business as much as I can. Like just decided that I want to push it as much as I can. Then let's see what exactly is going on, have a clear picture in that moment. But then I just really want to focus on living life, like just for myself, Then between like 30, 35, I think at that point I definitely want to start considering having a family. So, and then after that, I feel that once you have a family and once you have kids, like you start to live for someone else. Obviously,
it's like a selfless life, Like which what I've come to realization is like there's a beauty in it, because now you're not thinking about you. Now you're thinking about the other
There's a beauty
person.
in both. Just making sure that you maximize this time, because it's only gonna come once. I'm only gonna be 25 once. I'm only gonna be 26 once. And then really make sure that I maximize the enjoyment of this and not just chase money all the time and all of these. And then obviously the situation will change and it's gonna be a different type of life, but it's gonna be probably from what I hear from everyone that has families, it's going to be even more fulfilling.
Yeah.
Right. But I just never want to have the thought of like, oh, I wish I had done these before I had kids. I never want to have the thought. Like, knock on wood, of course. But I think that's kind of the goal for next 5 years. And the 5 years after that, it's really going to become about my family and I think also it's kind of what drives me a lot now. Like, I want to provide incredible life for my future wife, for my kids, I don't want them to, actually no, I do want them to struggle in some way because it's going to build them into the
I
people
think
that
that'll
they...
apply more for the son, not for the daughter though.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. Maybe not struggle, but I never want to have spoiled kids. I want them to appreciate everything that they have.
Yeah.
I want them to value it, because when I see like kids that are spoiled, I just can't. I'm like, I can't handle that.
You want them free, not spoiled.
Free, and I want them to appreciate things. And for the boys, I want them to go through the trenches like we have. Like, I think that really makes a man. Yeah.
That builds a lot of personality for sure.
Builds character, yeah, 100%.
And that progresses from business to everything in life, doesn't it? Or every struggle kind of it's all intertwined. So.
Yeah.
And also, like, one thing you guys have noticed, like, I think for me personally, the more older, mature I get, and also like there's a correlation with how many people I have around me. It's just like tiny and tiny and tiny every year. And I don't know if you guys notice the same. I know you're a social animal. Like, sometimes there's like 35 people around you in a cocktail bar.
Well,
and I'm like, how the fuck did you manage to get 35 people in six hours notice?
I'm good at that when it happens, but other than that, I don't like doing it at all. Like, I don't really go out too much or do any of that. Like, I won't do it constantly, but when it's there and like at a conference or anything, I think the objective is to meet people, and I find it interesting to speak to different people and seeing what everyone else is doing. It's cool. But other than that, I won't do anything unless it's planned.
What was the question?
The question was like, your close ones, your circle, did it for you get smaller every year, or did you expand? Or
it's getting smaller and it's expanding at the same time. So kind of I mentioned at the start, like, there was a period between when I was like 17 to 19 when I really had no friends. Like, there was no one that I would really be able to call like a true friend that I knew had my back in case of whatever. And then I started to meet people that were just really aligned with my values. And then I started meeting more and more. And then something happened like last year where I had to essentially draw a line with a few people that I consider very close friends. And that was really quite painful, to be honest, because I consider these people like super close friends, but I just ultimately saw that the values weren't aligned.
Yeah.
We didn't feel it, the relationship wasn't mutual. And that was, I think, the biggest lesson of last year. And funny enough, like, also as I mentioned previously, like, when I kind of distanced myself a bit from these people, new people came into my life that were even way more aligned with the values that I have, who I am, what kind of friends I want to have around. So I think it's kind of like what's it called? The bonsai tree. It's kind of like you're always like trimming it, and then it grows stronger. You always need to be on the lookout, and I think it's the same with romantic relationships and friendships and business partners. You need to be on the lookout for, like, are the values aligned? Does this person have your back? Not only have your back, do they respect you? And if that's not the case, you need to be very clear and set a boundary.
Yeah.
And when you do that, that's obviously it's not comfortable, but you open the doors for people that will respect that and will be a better fit for you ultimately in the future.
Nice one. And I think, like, doing these kind of podcasts for me, like, is so much more enjoyable than just doing like SEO rant for 30 minutes. And
it's good job.
We've got 30 minutes. We need to discuss all the new strategies
little details.
And what I've realized is, like, also the feedback I get from people watching this stuff, they can relate, they can relate who's behind the SEO scenes, who's in the SEO scenes, and they can see themselves. And that's why I wanted to do this podcast with you, to make it, both of you, like, super authentic. And I'm grateful for you to have come, and for you to have come, and just, we have made this happen. So thank you guys.
Thanks.
I think it's a wrap for today, and hopefully there'll be round 3 and round 4 and round 5.
Every
Let's do
year.
it.
Every
Let's do
year,
it.
and we see the progress, and you're like, oh shit. Remember we did that first podcast and we were talking about this
yes.
strategy and it doesn't work. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's beautiful.
Next year we'll all be AI generated.
Yeah, that's it. Probably
We have
will
an
be.
AI robot that's going to be like, what do you think, bro? Like, you've seen me doing this thing. Yeah, nice one.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.